It was there when you felt lost. It was there when everyone else seemed certain and you felt confused. The difference now is that you are beginning to trust it. Trust changes everything. When you trust yourself, you stop living from fear. You stop making decisions based solely on what might go wrong. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never designed for your growth. Instead, you begin moving toward what feels aligned, toward what feels true, toward what brings peace rather than pressure. And peace is often one of the clearest signs that you are moving in the right direction. The world teaches people to chase excitement, urgency, and constant stimulation. But the most powerful opportunities often arrive with a sense of calm. They do not need to convince you. They do not need to create chaos. They simply feel right. That is because what belongs to you does not need to fight for your attention. It resonates with your spirit. It feels familiar before it arrives, almost as if a part of you has been expecting it all along. You may be closer than you think, closer to healing than you realize, closer to clarity than you imagine, closer to the life you have quietly hoped for during your most difficult nights. Even now, as you listen to these words, something inside you recognizes this truth. Not because someone else told you, but because you already know it. There is wisdom within you that has survived every storm. There is strength within you that carried you through every setback. There is resilience within you that refused to give up, even when giving up seemed easier. And that strength has brought you here, to this moment, to this realization. You are not standing at the end of your journey. You are standing at the edge of something new, something that has been moving toward you for longer than you realize, something that has been preparing itself just as you have been preparing yourself. You do not need to force it. There is something happening in your life right now that you may not fully understand yet. You can feel it in quiet moments, in the pauses between your thoughts, in a strange sense that something is shifting beneath the surface, even when everything around you appears the same. It is subtle, almost impossible to explain. It keeps returning. A feeling, a pull, a quiet whisper inside you that refuses to disappear. Maybe you have noticed that old things no longer hold the same power over you. Conversations that once mattered now feel distant. Habits that once defined your days no longer satisfy you. The things you used to chase with so much energy seem less important now. At first, this change may have felt uncomfortable. You may have wondered if something was wrong. You may have questioned why you suddenly felt disconnected from parts of your life that once felt familiar. But what if nothing is wrong? What if this feeling is actually a sign that something powerful is moving toward you? Not because of luck, not because of chance, but because you have become someone who is ready to receive what once felt impossible. Many people think attraction happens through effort alone. They believe they must constantly push, force, and struggle to bring good things into their lives. But some of the most meaningful changes happen differently. They begin quietly, deep within, long before they appear in the outside world. And that is exactly where you are now. You may not realize it, but every challenge you have faced has been preparing you. Every disappointment carried a lesson. Every closed door redirected your path. Every moment you thought you were losing something was actually creating space for something greater. The difficult part is that preparation rarely feels beautiful while it is happening. When life asks you to let go, it can feel like punishment. When people leave, it can feel like rejection. When plans fall apart, it can feel like failure. But often the shift has begun, and perhaps the most beautiful part is that you do not need to understand every detail for it to be real. So many people spend their lives waiting for certainty before they allow themselves to believe in something better. They tell themselves they will trust once they see proof. They will hope once they receive guarantees. They will open their hearts once every risk disappears. But life rarely works that way. The most meaningful transformations begin before there is evidence. They begin with a feeling, a quiet knowing, a gentle sense that something is changing. And if you're honest with yourself, you have already felt it. You may still have moments of doubt. You may still wake up some mornings wondering if you are imagining everything. That is normal. Doubt is not a sign that you are failing. It is simply a reminder that you are human. Every person who has ever stepped into a new chapter has carried uncertainty with them. The difference is not the absence of fear. The difference is the willingness to keep moving forward despite it. That willingness has brought you farther than you realize. Look back for a moment. Think about the version of yourself who existed a year ago. Think about the worries that consumed your mind. Think about the challenges that felt impossible. Think about the questions that kept you awake at night. Now look at where you are. You survived things you once thought would break you. You carried burdens you never imagined you could handle. You found strength on days when you felt completely empty. You continued. That matters. It matters more than you know, because every difficult experience left something valuable behind. Not always immediately, not always in ways you could recognize, but little by little, life was building something within you. Patience, wisdom, compassion, resilience, depth. These qualities cannot be purchased, they cannot be borrowed. They can only be earned through experience and mistakes. It feels like no longer carrying the weight of expectations that were never yours to begin with. It feels like becoming lighter, and perhaps that is exactly what is happening. You are releasing what no longer belongs to you. Old stories, old limitations, old identities, old fears. For a long time, you may have believed you needed those things to protect yourself. Yet many of them were only keeping you small. They were preventing you from fully stepping into who you are becoming. Now, they're falling away, not because you forced them to, but because you have outgrown them. Growth has a way of making old fears feel too small for the person you are becoming. And the person you are becoming is powerful. Not powerful because of status. Not powerful because of recognition. Not powerful because of what others think. Powerful because you know who you are. Powerful because you trust your own heart. Powerful because you no longer need the world to constantly reassure you. There's something deeply peaceful about reaching that place. You stop fighting yourself. You stop trying to become someone else. You stop measuring your value against impossible standards. Instead, you begin accepting yourself fully. And acceptance creates freedom. Freedom creates peace. And peace attracts the things that truly belong in your life. That is why you do not need to rush. You do not need to force the future to arrive faster. You do not need to carry the pressure of having everything figured out. You are allowed to trust the timing. You are allowed to trust the process. You are allowed to trust yourself. There is wisdom in slowing down enough to notice what life is already giving you. A quiet moment, a meaningful conversation, a feeling of gratitude, a glimpse of possibility. These small experiences are often signs that your heart is opening to receive something greater. Because abundance rarely begins with possession. It begins with awareness.